Hi, we would like to begin our presentation with a question. What makes memorable experiences memorable? At Lambda Omega, we believe that memorable experiences are created when inspiration and engagement collide in a single occasion.
Hi, I'm Samantha.
I'm Kieran.
I'm Christian.
And I'm Kay. On 26th to the 27th of March, our chapter here at the University of Sydney transformed a Mere Inclusive Leadership Award abstract into an immersive two-day diversity and inclusion workshop called Diversity and Inclusion in a Post-COVID World, Inclusive Leaders Competition 2022. The event focused on the new diversity and inclusion initiatives within workplaces that developed through the COVID pandemic.
As we pitched in our initial abstract, we focused on two overarching topics. These topics were the effect of vaccination policies on the workplace and the inclusivity of international students in the Australian workforce. We wanted to make this event a memorable experience for all participants. To do this, we included 4 distinctive activities spread across the 2 days, aligning specifically to the Kolb's experiential learning cycle, just as we proposed in our initial abstract. These 4 activities were a catalyst, enabling students to learn, think, and act in their journeys to become inclusive leaders of the future. This was not only to take in and foster ideas surrounding diversity and inclusivity, but most importantly, to sequentially spark inspiration and engagement.
Our first activity was a professional panel event centered around the concept of diversity and inclusion in a post-COVID world. This was linked to the concrete experience component of the Kolb's experiential learning cycle, and participants felt inspired listening to real corporate industry guests. Here, students learnt how to become an inclusive leader in the current workplace. The panel consisted of 8 professional panelists coming from different financial backgrounds who each enlightened the participants in their unique personal experiences of remote working and its benefit and its limitations. They also inspired all participants and the Beta Alpha Psi executives to think about the inclusive leadership in this new era, where we have to balance hybrid working models with people working from home while telecommuting, also with offshore employees. This event was followed by a networking lunch session between students, the Beta Alpha Psi executive, and corporate panelists, which is linked to the reflective observation of Kolb's experiential learning cycle. This activity encouraged the participants to think about their learning so far, and as a result, students were able to ask follow-up questions to panelists and have a two-way dialogue with them to further digest the key takeaways they've learned from the panel event. The panel consisted of a diverse range of professionals who all came from different disciplines such as investment banking, finance, tax, consulting, and academia. Furthermore, the panelists also had a deep level of differences based on age, gender, and race. It was an inspiring example for students that there is no one normative example of what a successful person after a business school looks like. Participants were beginning to foster an inclusive and open mind about how there are many types of successful people in the corporate sphere. And through these think activities, participants leveraged their insight to the current university context. For example, working in a group project, and even for the future as they prepare to enter into the workforce in a post-COVID world, and as they interact with people from diverse backgrounds. And the latter 2 activities focused on engagement, providing participants with a practical experience to act as an inclusive leader. The third event in our program was the mini debate. This is linked to the abstract conceptualization section of Kolb's experiential learning cycle. The participants were beginning to articulate their own individual views about inclusive leadership in this new era. Students were paired and given a topic where they were assigned to either debate for or against that particular topic. Some groups were given the topics for a person's vaccination status should not affect their employment status, and the others were given the topic there should be a dedicated internship program for international students. They were only provided with 15 minutes to prepare this mini debate. This now allowed students to engage in the contentious issues surrounding inclusive leadership following the inspiring interactions they had in the panel event and the networking lunch. And finally, these events culminated in the final stage of the experiential learning cycle, which was active experimentation. This was an even more exciting way for students to engage in our diversity and inclusivity in a post-COVID world program. And the event was a pitch competition. Students were placed into pairs again, but this time they were provided with a longer 1 hour to prepare and form a polished and articulate presentation to a hypothetical CEO. They were provided with a case with facts about a hypothetical consulting firm, Lambda Consulting Company, and they had to articulate their own policy about how to ensure all employees in the firm, regardless of age, gender, race, and caregiving responsibilities, had equal opportunities for career progression. I'll now pass on to Sananda to talk about the learning outcomes and unexpected outcomes of this program.
Thank you, Kay. I'll now go through the learning outcomes from our diversity and inclusivity events. We had 3 types of learning outcomes, and these were 1, the unexpected outcomes that the Beta Alpha Psi executive were faced with. 2, the substantive inclusivity related learning outcomes that we learned from our corporate guests. And 3, the diversity and inclusivity insights that we gained from participating students. So now focusing on what the Beta Alpha Psi executive learned from the unexpected outcome of many registered students not actually attending on the day. So now we are able to evaluate that we could have thought a little bit more outside the box with marketing. We had a robust and effective marketing campaign consisting of study sites, the Central University student newsletter, our chapter's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and our own chapter's monthly newsletters. As a result of this marketing, we were able to run the event with a very decent student turnout, and this formed 4 student teams of pitch groups. But in the future, we would like to increase this number. Many students, in fact, were quite surprised to see the very engaging nature of our event and the quality of our judges and our panelists. In the future, we would like to build these expectations through marketing, such as Meet the Panelists hype up posts and little videos where BAP executives highlight how exciting our events would be. And we propose to increase numbers in the future by releasing the pitch and forming teams early so that students who have registered feel a sense of responsibility to other team members and are less likely to not attend on the day. This year's high level of registered participants who did not actually arrive provided this learning outcome for us. And most importantly, every student and every Beta Alpha Psi executive and every corporate guest learned many things about enhancing diversity and inclusivity. So focusing on the insights we learned from our corporate guests, a Grant Thornton senior manager, for example, articulated to us the importance of being aware of different cultural teams and how they have different ways of expressing things. For example, in some South Asian cultures, expressing a doubt is a euphemism for not really understanding the task. And another financial analyst in the panel who has worked closely with UK and US-based teams shared with us that the word fine can be affirmative in some contexts, but standoffish in others, depending on the cultural background of the team members. And importantly, we all reflected on how hybrid working is creating an imperative on us to ensure that those working and joining remotely are not left behind on any career progression opportunities. I'll now pass on to Chris, who will elaborate on the learning outcomes from the students.
Thank you, Sananda. Learning is a two-way street, and the success of our event was that we did not just passively receive information from corporate guests, but we encouraged students to ask and answer questions, which meant we gained many new insights from students as well. For example, we learned about how having an extroverted personality can help international students make friends in Australia, and how this can be a difficult burden for introverted students to adjust within a new country. However, we did encounter various challenges throughout this event. First, the weather. Throughout the month of March, Sydney encountered 16 inches of rain, which was 421% of the long-term average. Our event was during this extreme weather period, and since most Australian university students do not live on campus, public transport disruptions from the weather made it difficult for some students to attend. Secondly, the lack of attendance. We faced a struggle in welcoming domestic students to this event. In fact, out of the 12 students, only 2 were domestic students, creating a severe underrepresentation and perhaps a bias. Also, with 10 executive members attending the event, this underattendance created an overrepresentation of Beta Alpha Psi members in proportion to the turnout of students. It was difficult to organise a face-to-face event after our Australian community just experienced 2 years of severe restrictions, and many students were not used to making the effort of attending a face-to-face event after returning to the comfort of video conferencing. This was a jarring shift, and many students who were not familiar with the physical campus as a result of online classes may have felt intimidated. And third, holding registered students accountable for attendance. Despite receiving 30+ registrations from students, we believe the 2 aforementioned challenges contributed to an unforeseen shortfall of registered attendance. As a result of this challenge of expecting more students, we misallocated time to specific events, and hence, it created inconsistencies within our pre-planned schedule.
Thank you, Chris. So, how did we overcome these challenges? Despite the low attendance compared to our registration numbers, we converted this into a positive. We focused on the fact that all students now have a greater ability to have open and controversial debates because it was a smaller group. Furthermore, all students also had a greater networking ability because the proportion of students to networking executives was smaller. Not only this, we also emphasized to all participating students that there was a significant opportunity now for them to reap the physical awards and the prizes on offer as they were competing with a smaller cohort. Likewise, in an attempt to mitigate further unforeseen lack of attendance to our later engagement events, such as the pitch competition, we sent an email on the Saturday night before the pitch competition to confirm attendance for it. This was pivotal, considering we only had one student provide us with a valid reason as to why they could not attend the pitch competition the following day. So therefore, we are looking to implement this strategy with future events where we perhaps open the registration closer to the actual event and provide an extra reminder to students to attend what they have registered for. I'll now pass over to Chris again.
For something to be improved over time, there must be a reflection upon not only what we think went well and not so well, but also the statistics showing what we succeeded with and what we could improve on. This requires metrics to be set and measured during and after the event. We set both quantitative and qualitative metrics before our diversity and inclusion event and measured them against tools such as pre and post event surveys, as well as numerical factors, such as the number of participants attending and how many to transition into Beta Alpha Psi members. In the pre-event surveys we got attendees to fill out, we noted one common theme was that students wanted to gain better leadership and communication skills, both key skills needed to succeed in today's workforce. The randomized group nature of the case competition allowed attendees to conquer these difficult skills and add value to their experience. Our post-event surveys reflected this notion, with almost 90% of attendees answering that they both felt more comfortable presenting in front of an audience.
We found the quantitative feedback to our event a bit more disappointing on face value, with only 11 attendees attending, given the 30 applicants that we once had. However, when we dug deeper into this number, we found that 33% of our attendees entered our subcommittee as a result. The overall event we found to be a success from both qualitative and quantitative sources. With a turnout of 9 professionals, we were able to deliver a high quality event with ample feedback provided to attendees. This was reflected as well in the post-event survey, as almost 90% of attendees stated they'd enjoy the event proceedings and would come to another event hosted by Beta Alpha Psi in the future. Digging deeper into our qualitative feedback on what students learned about diversity and inclusivity, Almost 90% of students feel like they understand there is more than one perspective to an issue. Again, about 90% of students feel like they've enjoyed working in their team, which is no doubt a testament to the inclusivity insights they gained from the panel event and networking. This allowed them to put the insights into practice, where they valued the other team's members' experience and perspective, resulting in an enjoyable and beneficial team experience. Overall, with our diversity and inclusion event, we weathered the storm, both literally and figuratively, with many challenges thrown our way. However, our team responded excellently, and we managed to still deliver a great event that attendees gained valuable experiences from. We managed to demonstrate effectively the value of diversity and inclusion in a professional context to attendees at the same time as promoting Beta Alpha Psi as a leading university society. Thank you.